Part 1. The beginning until the breakup. Tone. Soft. Melancholic. We met by accident. As it usually happens in stories that end with pain. I was returning to KYIV after a 3-day retreat in the Carpathia NS. I needed silence. A pause. Space to let go of the past that still stung. He sat across from me on the train. It was raining. The windows were foggy. And it felt like the whole world had slowed down. He was reading a book. I don't remember which one. But I remember how he held it. Gently. As if it was something precious. Strangely. I felt calm. And then he looked up. That's how it began. We didn't talk much that evening. But when the train arrived, he asked for my number. I didn't think. I just gave it to him. 2 days later, he texted me. I want to see you without windows between us. We met again. And again. And again. The world, which had seemed gray before, suddenly became full of color. Tara's wasn't like the others. He was quiet, but not boring. He didn't throw around Instagram quotes or try to act like the strong silent type. He just was. And I believed in it. I painted a world in my head where we were together. I imagined how a year from now we'd go to Iceland. How he'd wait for me at the train station. How he'd support my projects. How I'd whisper something to him in the morning light. How he wouldn't leave. But he kept leaving. Every time I opened up he pulled away. At first, just slightly. He grew colder. More distant. Took a step back whenever I stepped closer. I blamed it on personality. On needing space. But really, he needed to escape. From me. Because I was alive. And he was used to silence. We lived in parallel worlds. Thinking we shared one. He was annoyed by my emotions. Tired by my late-night thoughts. When I cried, he said nothing. Not with hugs. Not with "I'm here." Just emptiness in his eyes. I screamed inside. Say something. But he just went to make tea. He wasn't cruel. And that made it worse. Because cruelty at least burns. He was just cold. He could hug me. But it felt like he was closing a door. I slowly disappeared. Not all at once. First, I quit therapy to spend more time with him. Then, I canceled a new project because he said, "Maybe don't overwork yourself." Then I saw my friends less. Laughed less. I faded. The last time we argued, it was because he lied. He told me he went on a work trip alone. But I accidentally saw her in his story. With him. That night. I didn't cry. I just sat in the hallway. Listening to the water in the pipes. Thinking. This is it. He came home. Saw me in the dark. And simply said, "I can't do this anymore." I just nodded. Because I hadn't been able to for a long time. Part 2. After the breakup. Tone. Broken. Quiet. More emotional. After the breakup. The silence was louder than ever. The walls didn't speak. The kitchen was quiet. My phone didn't ring. I didn't know what was worse, losing someone or losing myself. And at that moment, I had lost both. I tried not to think. Filled my days with errands. People. Music. But at night it all came back. His voice. His silence. That same silence that used to kill me slowly now lived inside me. I waited for him to text. Even one sentence. Even just, "How are you?" But he vanished. The same way he had always been there, quietly. Without shadows. Without trace. Friends told me, "Go on a date. Distract yourself. Watch something new. Buy a dress. Start living again." But how do you start living when you don't even know who you're now? I had a moment where I thought maybe he was right. Maybe I was too emotional. Too demanding. Too deep. I stared at the mirror and asked, "Am I really the problem?" That question haunted me longer than the breakup itself. 2 weeks later. I went to therapy, not to get over him, but to understand who exactly I lost. Was it him? Or the version of me that existed with him? Therapy opened doors I didn't want to see. That I always chose men who needed to be loved into existence. Men who didn't know how to give back, and I thought, if I give more, they'll love me too. But love doesn't work like an investment. I started learning how to be alone again. Not afraid. Not waiting. Just with myself. And that was the hardest part. Because I had always known how to be with someone else. But never how to be with me. I stopped checking his page. Stopped wondering who he was with. Because I finally realized I didn't need an answer to why he didn't choose me. I needed to choose myself. And that had never been enough until now. A month ago, I saw him by accident. In a coffee shop. Downtown. He was standing in line. Holding the same book. We locked eyes. He nodded. I smiled. And I walked away. And you know what? It was easy. No pain. No bitterness. Just peace. Part 3. The Ghost of Us. Tone. Quiet. Reflective. A month had passed since we last spoke. And yet it felt like he was still everywhere. In the music that accidentally played. In the coffee shop on my street. In the scent of his cologne that clung to my scarf. I kept telling myself, you're healing. But healing isn't linear. Sometimes, you move on. And sometimes, you crumble just from remembering how his voice sounded in the morning. The strange part, he never truly hurt me in the obvious way. No shouting. No betrayal that bled loud. Just distance. Just silence. And somehow that left the deepest wound. Part 5. Closure without words. Tone. Warm. Grounded. I didn't need a conversation. I didn't need apologies. I didn't even need to know if he missed me. Because I finally understood. Some endings don't come with explanations. And that's okay. He wasn't ready to meet the kind of love I offered. He couldn't hold something real. So he chose what was easier. Lighter. Safer. And I chose to feel. To stay open. Even when it hurt. That's not weakness. That's strength. For so long, I thought being too much was a flaw. But now I see it as a gift. To feel deeply. To care loudly. To love without pretending. Part 6. Who I am now. Tone. Strong. Confident. Peaceful. I no longer chase people who confuse quiet with peace. Who mistake emotional depth for drama. Now, I look for softness with strength. For presence. For someone who won't disappear just because things get difficult. I've learned how to choose myself. To stand in rooms alone and still feel whole. To cry and not call someone to fix it. To laugh without needing an audience. I've built myself piece by piece. Not for him. Not for anyone. For me. And if love comes again, I won't shrink for it. I won't beg it to stay. It will have to meet me where I am. Not in silence. Not in confusion. But in clarity. In choice. Because I've already survived the kind of love that leaves quietly. Now I want the kind that stays loudly. Part 6. Who I am now.